Hi, my name is Max.
And I'm Calvin.
And we're hosting So You Wanna Be a...
Max, what makes a giraffe's neck grow long, a strawberry turn red, or your hair grow the color it does?
A lot of different things are involved, but one really important part is something called DNA.
And there are scientists whose entire job is to study DNA, right?
Exactly. So today, we're talking about being a geneticist.
Before we explain what a geneticist does, we should probably explain what DNA actually is.
DNA is basically a set of biological instructions found in every living thing.
So humans have DNA.
And dogs, oak trees, mushrooms, whales, strawberries, and even tiny bacteria have DNA too.
What are those instructions actually telling them?
They help living things to grow and function.
So, it's kind of like every living thing comes with their own enormous instruction book.
Exactly. And different sections of those instruction books are called genes.
So, genes are one section of DNA that contains certain instructions.
Right, and differences in our genes are part of why living things can have different traits.
Like why brothers can look similar without looking the exact same.
Exactly. You inherit versions of genes from both your parents, but siblings don't usually get the exact same combination.
Okay, now that we know what DNA and genes are, what does a geneticist actually do?
Geneticists study DNA to understand how living things work and how traits can be passed on from one generation to another.
Do all geneticists study humans?
Not at all. Some study people, but others study plants, animals, bacteria, and even creatures that went extinct thousands or hundreds of years ago.
So one geneticist could be studying why a plant survives in such dry weather,
while another could be studying the DNA of a woolly mammoth.
Okay, studying the DNA of a woolly mammoth sounds pretty awesome.
Genetics can get really interesting really quickly.
So what does a normal day look like for a geneticist?
It depends on what they're studying, but many geneticists spend at least some time in their laboratories.
Are they looking at DNA through microscopes?
Usually not. DNA is far too tiny to look at and read with a normal microscope.
Then how do they study it?
They use special laboratory equipment to work with DNA and computers to help them read and compare information.
So this job is partly biology and partly technology.
Definitely. A geneticist might spend one part of a day doing an experiment and another part studying the results on a computer.
And I'm guessing they don't always know what the experiment is going to show.
That's a huge part of science. Sometimes the results are exactly what you expected, and sometimes it gives you a completely new question.
Okay, let's pretend that we're geneticists and someone hands us a tube filled with cells. What would we do?
First, we need to get the DNA out of those cells.
DNA is microscopic, but can you ever actually see it?
Surprisingly, yes. If you collected enough DNA together, it can look like whitish, stringy material.
That's weird. So once we have the DNA, what happens next?
We can use special machines to read the parts of its genetic code.
What do you mean read DNA?
DNA uses chemical code made just from 4 different building blocks, which scientists usually represent with the letters A, T, C, and G.
Wait, something as complicated as a human can be built using instructions written with only 4 letters?
Pretty amazing, right? What matters is the order of those letters that they appear in.
Kind of like how our alphabet has only 26 letters, but we can arrange them to make millions of different sentences.
Exactly. Geneticists can compare those DNA sequences and look for important differences and similarities.
So one tiny difference in that enormous code can give them a clue.
Right, and those clues can help geneticists answer some pretty incredible questions.
I think that we're ready for some facts.
All right, let's do it.
Did you know that scientists actually edit DNA?
Wait, edit? Like changing something in an instruction book?
Kind of. One of the tools that scientists use is called CRISPR.
So what does CRISPR actually do?
Scientists can program it to find a particular spot on DNA and cut that DNA there.
So instead of searching through that enormous DNA strand themselves, they can tell CRISPR which sections to find.
Exactly. Scientists can sometimes remove, change, or replace genetic materials in that spot.
That sounds like something from science fiction.
Except scientists are already using CRISPR in real science and medicine.
Did you know that scientists have made animals glow by changing their genes?
Okay, what kind of glowing are we talking about?
Scientists discovered a gene in jellyfish that contains instructions for making a protein that glows green under certain kinds of light.
So they figured out how to give that genetic instruction to another living animal?
Exactly. Researchers have made animals like mice and fish glow using the glowing gene.
But I'm guessing they don't just do that because glowing animals are cool.
Right. The glow can work like a marker, helping researchers see particular cells or tell where certain genes are active.
So glowing animals actually help scientists see something that would normally be invisible.
Exactly. Although being able to make something glow is pretty cool.
Did you know that scientists have recovered DNA from woolly mammoths that have died thousands of years ago?
So some DNA can actually survive after the animal is gone?
Pieces of it can, especially when the animal remains have been frozen and protected in places like permafrost.
And geneticists can actually read those ancient pieces of DNA?
Yep, they can even compare mammoth DNA with the DNA of their living relatives, elephants.
We can learn about an extinct animal even though no one has ever seen a living mammoth?
Exactly, and that leads to an even crazier question.
Could geneticists actually bring back the woolly mammoth?
Not exactly, but what scientists are trying to do is pretty incredible.
So they're not trying to thaw out a frozen mammoth and suddenly have it wake up?
Definitely not. Instead, scientists are comparing woolly mammoth DNA with elephant DNA and looking for genes that connect to mammoth traits.
Like their thick fur and ability to survive in freezing temperatures.
Exactly. Scientists are studying whether we could give elephants some of those mammoth traits.
So it wouldn't really be an ancient woolly mammoth coming back to life.
Right. It would be more like elephants that have some of the traits inspired by woolly mammoth DNA.
That's still really awesome.
And that shows just how much geneticists can learn from DNA that's thousands of years old.
Did you know that the DNA of any two humans is roughly 99.9% the same?
Wait, even two people who look completely different?
Yep, most of our DNA sequence is incredibly similar.
So the tiny parts that are different can help make billions of people look different from each other.
It contributes to many of our differences, along with things like our environment and experiences.
That even means geneticists sometimes have to search through enormous amounts of DNA just to find a tiny difference that matters.
Exactly. It's almost like comparing two gigantic books that are nearly identical and trying to find the few letters that are changed.
Okay, here's one almost every kid probably wonders about. Could a geneticist actually bring back Jurassic Park?
If scientists can find mammoth DNA, why can't they just find dinosaurs' DNA?
Because DNA doesn't last forever. After an animal dies, the DNA slowly breaks down.
And dinosaurs have been gone for millions and millions of years.
Exactly. Their DNA is basically too old and broken down for scientists to recover a complete set of instructions.
What about the mosquito trapped in amber from the movie?
Cool movie idea. But scientists haven't found complete dinosaur DNA inside mosquito amber yet.
So mammoths are different because they lived so much more recently.
Exactly. We can still find mammoth DNA, but dinosaur instruction books are basically gone.
Okay, that makes Jurassic Park make a lot more sense.
So what would someone need to learn if they want to be a geneticist?
Biology will be one of the biggest subjects.
Chemistry probably would matter too.
Definitely, and computers and math are really useful because modern geneticists can work with huge amounts of information.
What would someone usually study in college?
Something like genetics, biology, molecular biology, or related science.
Do most geneticists stop after college?
It depends on the job, but many researchers continue their education and get advanced degrees.
I guess that makes sense when your job involves figuring out how the instructions for life work.
What kind of person do you think would be good at this job?
Someone who asks a lot of questions.
Definitely. Geneticists are constantly trying to figure out why something happened.
You'd probably need to be patient too.
A lot of it. Experiments don't always work the first time.
And attention to details has to be important when you're comparing tiny differences in DNA.
Absolutely. You also have to enjoy learning new things because genetics is changing very quickly.
Like CRISPR.
Exactly. Some of the tools geneticists use today didn't even exist when many current scientists were kids.
Before this episode, DNA was basically a twisty ladder looking thing to me.
Now we know that it's a set of instructions that help living things grow, develop, and function.
And genes are different sections from those instructions.
And geneticists figure out how to read those instructions,
Compare them,
learn what different parts do.
and sometimes even edit them.
They can study extinct mammoths, make cells glow, investigate the history of living things, and help answer questions scientists couldn't answer before.
Genetics might be one of the closest related jobs to science fiction we've ever talked about.
Especially when you start talking about editing DNA in mammoth-like elephants.
Just no Jurassic Park.
That's probably for the best.
All right, that's it for today's episode.
We hope you have fun learning about what it's like to be a geneticist.
And if you want your name and the job you want to be when you grow up featured in one of our episodes, head to maxandcommon.studio.
Thank you. Goodbye.